cyberspace astronauts. Are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Season 2 is here. Episode 1 of Season 2 of the Todd Cook Show is here. I am here. You are here. I am talking. You are listening. This is the Todd Cook Show. I am Todd Cook, and Season 2 of the Todd Cook Show has finally arrived. I just finished Season 1 last week with the 20th episode, and now for the 20th episode, Season 2 of the Todd Cook Show has finally begun. And boy, do I have a big show planned for you today. First of all, let me make sure everybody knows that you want to stay tuned because I got a little music by a band called Good and Greasy coming up. Now, if you have listened to the show at all, you know that I am in the band Good and Greasy, and it's been the best 3 years of my musical career has been right here with this band Good and Greasy. And for the very first episode of the Todd Cook Show ever, Season 1, Episode 1, I played a song by Good and Greasy, so I thought it would be fitting to start Season 2 with a song by Good and Greasy as well. And so that's what I'm going to do, and that's coming up in just a little bit. And now, for the Season 2 premiere of the Todd Cook Show, I knew I could not just go with something that I normally do. I had to do something bigger and better, because that's what any season premiere does. Whether it's a television show or a podcast, when you are starting a new season, you got to go bigger and better. And I was thinking, what could I do to make this show bigger and better than the rest? If I was a TV show, I would try to have maybe a big celebrity to come and guest star in the show or do a cameo. That's what a lot of TV shows do. They get a big celebrity. Well, the problem here is I would do that as well, but I don't know any big celebrities. So I cannot have any big celebrities here on the Todd Cook Show. But I thought I know that I needed to go bigger and better. So I thought, here's what I'll do. I'm going to do something that has very rarely ever been done. I'm sure it has. I listen to a lot of talk radio, a lot of podcasts in the recent years. I've never heard this done once. But I'm going to do it. I'm sure it's been done, but it's been so rarely done that even I, somebody who listens to a lot of talk radio and a lot of podcasts, I have never heard it. So it must be very rare. I'm going to do something that is going to push the envelope in a way that it has never been pushed before. I'm going to get really edgy on you, folks. Really, really edgy. And I've been really frustrated over the years because for whatever reason, the phrase push the envelope or be edgy only usually means one thing. It means saying things or doing things that the FCC would not want you to do. Now, here on the internet, the FCC is not really a factor. I could say and do pretty much anything I want to do. But usually, when people say somebody is pushing the envelope or being edgy, it means that they're using a lot of sexual innuendos and, like I said, saying things that the FCC would not find very appropriate. But I'm going to do something right now that I believe is pushing the envelope, that I believe is setting a new standard, that is being edgy, that has nothing to do with sexual innuendos whatsoever. And I'd go even a step farther and say, like I said earlier, it's probably not been done very much whatsoever. It's something that even Howard Stern might not do. Some of the most, quote, edgy people on the radio, I don't believe has done this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something right now that is unthinkable. I'm going to, and this is going to make a lot of people out there gasp, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to interview my mother-in-law. This is where I wish I had that big organ music, Dun! I am going to interview my mother-in-law right here on the Todd Cook Show. This is edgier than anything you ever heard. This is going to push the envelope farther than it's ever been pushed on radio or podcasting. I'm going to interview my mother-in-law. Now, normally on this show, I say as I come on, and this time I did not, and I did that on purpose. This show normally is recorded live, meaning I hit the record button, and then I do not stop the record button until the show is done. But this time, there's going to be a little editing involved because I got to be able to get my mother-in-law down here, and I'm going to actually interview her, and then I'm going to interview my brother-in-law, and then one other person at the end, which is a little bit of a surprise for you all. And so there's going to be a little editing done here on this particular episode, season 2, episode 1 of the Todd Cook Show is going to have a little editing going on here. But here we go. Going into an area, an arena, a realm that radio and podcasting has very seldom gone before. So seldomly that somebody who listens to a lot of talk radio and a lot of podcasting, has never heard it gone before. I am going to interview my mother-in-law. Here she comes right now. All right, my mother-in-law is here, Christine. How you doing?
Christina. With an A.
Now I already screwed up the interview right from the very beginning. My first question is bad. I don't know why I said that. I know that. Does anybody call you Christine?
Yes.
By mistake.
They call me a lot of other names too, though, too.
Okay. All right. My first question is, how long have I been married to your wife? Do you know the answer to that?
Do I know the answer?
I should say, how long have I been married to your daughter?
Daughter, yes. My wife? Excuse me, but I'm not a lesbian.
My wife, your daughter.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5 years.
At least 5. It's more than 5.
7?
7 years. Very good.
Okay.
And I guess my first question is, how have I been doing so far?
Oh, wonderful.
Great. Really? You believe that?
Yes, I do believe that.
This is a podcast, and maybe I should have asked you this before. Do you know what a podcast even is?
No.
You haven't even listened to my show yet?
No.
Okay, I'm going to make you feel guilty then, because you're going to listen to this episode since you're on it, right?
Well, yeah, if you make me.
Well, I can't make you, but I'm just going to ask you to do it.
Well, okay, ask me. That's making me. I have to do it.
All right. You have obviously known Samantha, my wife, your daughter. You've known her longer than I have. You got any secrets you could tell me?
Oh, of course.
Are you going to tell any?
I would never tell a secret.
If you did, I guess it would be a secret.
No, it wouldn't.
I'm sure there's. I'm gonna.
And if she hasn't told you, then that's between you and her.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have Sammy down here. I figured my chances of getting any secrets about her would be better with him, her brother, than it is with you.
That's right. He has a big mouth.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. He's gonna be down here in just a little bit. Let's see. What is my next question I have on here? Now. Earlier today, and normally I don't tell everybody what the day is because they could listen to this a month from now. You know, it's available anytime, so I don't like saying what specific day it is. But I'm going to make an exception today. Today is Mother's Day, and you of course are my mother-in-law, and Samantha is a mother as well. And you're here at my house. We're having a little cookout and stuff. And did I see you doing dishes upstairs?
Yes, certainly.
What are you doing dishes on Mother's Day at my house?
Because I know what it's like to have dishes after everybody leaves. Because you got to keep up with those dishes.
Yes, I've learned that very much.
I don't care who does them. Somebody needs to keep up with them.
I try to do dishes every day, even if there's only a few things there, because I found that if I go just one day and skip that day, the next day is going to be twice as bad, sometimes 3 times as bad, depending on how many dishes I had that first day.
I've noticed that about you, John, and I wonder where you came from, because I've never seen a man keep up on dishes like you do.
Well, my parents, people would ask them if they had a dishwasher, and they said, yeah, we got 3. Me and both my sisters, they had 3 kids, and they're like, yeah, we got 3 dishes. So, I grew up. I remember as soon as I was old enough, actually, there was a time when I wasn't tall enough to reach into the sink, so they would bring a chair over, and I'd get up on my knees on the chair to be able to reach into the sink, and being on my knees in that chair just made me just high enough where I could reach into the sink. So I've been doing dishes for quite some time.
Well, aren't you sick of that?
Yeah, I've never liked it, but it's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
Like I said, the only thing worse than doing a few dishes is waiting and doing a lot of dishes.
Yeah.
So I try to do dishes just about every day, and it works out pretty well.
It does. It does. I noticed that.
I know for Mother's Day, your daughter and your son got you a fishing pole.
Yes,
You like to go fishing?
A purple fishing pole. Oh, it's beautiful. Yes, I love fishing.
Yeah, I've known that about you. I think you like fishing more than I do, and I like going quite a bit.
Yes, I do.
Is there any chance you're going to go fishing later today?
There is a chance.
There is a chance. It's still fairly early. It's showing 5:19, so sun doesn't go down till 8:30 or 9. So we might still get out there.
We might still get out there.
You have a nice Mother's Day so far, then?
Yes, I'm having a wonderful Mother's Day.
Great.
My kids bought me an alligator to sleep with since I'm divorced. So now I have an alligator, big stuffed alligator to sleep with, and then a brand new fishing pole to go fishing with. All I need is my fishing license. I'm good to go.
You got flowers too, didn't you?
Yes. Oh, yes.
It wouldn't be Mother's Day without flowers.
No.
Samantha bought her own flowers.
Yes.
Does that make me kind of bad?
No, not at all.
If
you want something, you got to get it yourself.
Mother's Day was a couple weeks away, and so I still had plenty of time to do it. But she went ahead and she told me that she already ordered them. So I might still go sneak out and get her some flowers for myself.
That's fine.
I found out with Valentine's Day, the only way to surprise your wife with flowers, I mean, you want to surprise her, but they all know that the flowers are coming.
Yes.
Unless you're a really bad husband. They know. So the only way I found to be able to surprise them is to be able to get them a second set of flowers.
Do you know?
Do you think I could surprise her?
I think you can surprise her.
It kind of worked with Valentine's Day because she got the one
Just
flowers.
don't let her listen to this podcast right away.
Well, yeah. She won't hear it for the next few hours, so we should be fine. At least for, it won't be up till tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact. So we should be fine there. But, I got her 2 sets of flowers on Valentine's Day, and that was the reason, because I knew she was expecting one. I took one to her at work, and then had another one waiting for her when she got home.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me.
Very good.
All right, I'm going to take a short break.
Okay.
And we'll
See
talk
you
to
later, alligator.
Maybe some other day. All right. You're listening to the Todd Cook Show. I will be right back. Hi, Todd Cook here. Do you like going out on Friday or Saturday nights for some supper and live music, but you're not into the bar scene? Because let's face it, when the alcohol starts to flow, those places can get a little loud and a bit rowdy. Sometimes to the point that it becomes difficult for you to enjoy your food or the music. Do you wish that there was a place that had good food, good music, but a less distracting atmosphere? A place that you can enjoy the food and the music, but still get home at a decent hour? Well, that place does exist, and it's right here in Wichita on the corner of Douglas and Hillside, or 110 South Hillside to be exact. It's called The Kiln. They have live music every Friday and Saturday night starting at 7 p.m. and ending at 9. The Kiln is a Christian-ran, non-alcoholic establishment that operates solely on donations. And they always have great food and great entertainment. And one of the best parts, you don't need a babysitter. You can bring the kids with you. So for more information, contact Mike through the Facebook page. The Kiln, K-I-L-N, and be sure to check it out yourself this Friday or Saturday night, 110 South Hillside, corner of Douglas and Hillside in Wichita. The Kiln, where they are always glad you came. All right, I am back. After interviewing my mother-in-law, I'm not done yet. Now, I'm going to interview my brother-in-law. TheToddCookShow@gmail.com is my email address. TheToddCookShow@gmail.com. You can write me there. Ask me any question that you might want to ask, and I will answer it there. Or you can look me up on Facebook, The Todd Cook Show. Just look it up on Facebook, The Todd Cook Show, and you'll find me there as well. Now it's time to get to my brother-in-law. My wife's name is Samantha, but his name is Sammy. There's a lot of Sams in your family, right?
Yes.
All right, and you're Sammy. The first thing people might notice is that you got a little better radio voice than I do. Have you ever done any voiceover work?
No.
Actually, the first question I should probably ask you is, this is a podcast. Do you even know what I'm doing right now? Do you know what a podcast is?
Not really.
Well, for your sake and for the people out there who might be listening for the first time, a podcast is kind of like talk radio, except for it's totally on the internet. And I made your mom feel a little guilty because she didn't know what a podcast was either, which tells me that she has not ever listened to my show. And now I'm going to make you feel a little guilty because obviously you have not listened to my show. But what you're doing right now is a podcast. And if you don't know what a podcast is, obviously this is your first time on a podcast, right?
Yes.
Millions of people, anybody in the world that has internet can listen to this right now. Do you know that?
I do now.
Well, not right now at the moment. They got to actually go to YouTube later after I upload it. But eventually I am going to do some live shows, and I'll let everybody know when that's coming up. But now let's go ahead and interview my brother-in-law, Sammy, here. You said you have not done any voiceover work. Why not? You got the great voice for it.
Well, I've heard that from the ladies, but
Yeah, I've heard I got a good radio voice too, but I think you might actually have a little better radio voice. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm going to hand you this piece of paper. You did not know this was coming, did you?
no.
Good. Now I want you to read, go through some of this here, and just see how good of a radio voice you got. So try to do this as a radio announcer, a guy who's on the radio, and just give it your best shot here. And we'll go through each one of these one-liners here that I prepared for you. Go ahead and read number one in your best radio announcer voice.
You're listening to the Todd Cook Show.
That's pretty good. Now do a little bit more, one more time with a little more energy, and make sure you stress the Todd Cook Show.
You're listening to the Todd Cook Show.
That's really good. All right, now the next one. Do you understand the reference there of a honey badger?
No.
Well, there used to be this YouTube video that was a real big internet sensation. It was a viral video of this guy talking about the honey badger, which is an animal that is very relentless. And one of the phrases he said was, the honey badger would go into a swarm of bees or whatever the danger was. He didn't care. And the guy's just like, honey badger don't care. So I want you to go ahead and read number 2 there now.
Honey badger don't care, but he does. Todd Cook.
All right, now one more time, because the honey badger doesn't care, but Todd Cook does. So the honey badger don't care, but he does. Todd Cook.
The honey badger don't care, but he does. Todd Cook.
See? You're already doing some voiceover work, and you don't even know it. All right, now let's go on to the next one here. Obviously, whenever I go to a commercial break or whatever, I need this phrase to be said. So if I were to use you as a voiceover guy, how would you say that next line?
The Todd Cook Show will be right back.
Come on, this is radio. One more time with a little more enthusiasm.
The Todd Cook Show will be right back.
That's very good. See? Piece of cake. You can make money doing this. This is a good way to make money. This is easy money. There are people that do this. They literally show up to some studio. Actually, nowadays, with technology, a lot of them probably just do it right at their home. They got a studio at their home, and they literally, an hour or two, record a bunch of these one-liners like this, send them off somewhere, and make a couple $100. So you can do this, I'm telling you. All right, now the next one is a reference to the Charlie Brown. I'll give you a little time to read it so you can prepare yourself. This is a funny podcast, so this is a funny one-liner that I might have sometime as I'm coming back from a commercial. So go ahead and try to deliver it.
His lips are moving, but he ain't saying anything. Todd Cook.
Now, see, the last few, I told you to do it again. But you've gotten so good now, that was perfect. I don't have to ask you to do that one again. That was great. Go on to the next one. And again, this will be another one, a funny one, because this is a funny podcast. This is a very light-hearted podcast. I don't talk about serious things. So this is another little funny moment as I'm coming back from break. People that are listening to me don't take me very seriously. And so as I'm coming back from break, they would hear this.
Charlie Brown's teacher is easier to understand than he is. Todd Cook.
Perfect. Not any problem. We're having a cookout upstairs. You get enough to eat out there?
Yeah.
And by the way, I just tricked you. I'll probably use some of the things you just said on my podcast. And since you agreed to be on my podcast, and since you knew that I was recording this, I've got the copyrights to it. There's nothing you can do about it now. I can use anything you just said on my podcast, and I probably will sometime soon. So thank you very much for coming down. Is there anything else I want to ask you? I'm looking here. I'm getting ready to go to, I'm going to play a song. On my podcast, at this point in the podcast, I always play a song, usually by a local musical artist here in Wichita, sometimes by a national artist. But this time, it's going to be by my band. You know the name of my band, I hope, right?
Good and Greasy.
Very good. Now, if you hadn't listened to my podcast, I can understand that. But if you didn't even know what the name of my band was, I'd be really upset. But on the very first episode of the Todd Cook Show, I played a song by my band. I played a song called "Hey You, I'm from Wichita." It's a song that I wrote. But this is actually season 2, the first episode of season 2 of the Todd Cook Show. And so I thought I would play another song by Good and Greasy. I don't want to play every week, Good and Greasy every week. That'd be kind of, I must have a really huge ego to play my band every week, so I don't play them every week. And it's been 20 episodes since I played them before. So now I'm going to play a song by Good and Greasy. And do you have that last line on there? You do. So go ahead and read that last line on the Todd Cook Show, and when you're done, just shut your mic off and walk away. Thank you very much for coming. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Here is Good and Greasy with Okie Dokie Artichoke on the Todd Cook Show.
In Wichita on Broadway in Murdoch, you can hear the tunes and smell the food through the whole block. Eat a sandwich and drink a beer. Let the music fill your ear. Everything's okie dokie, artichoke. Come in and order a number 8. You will always be greeted by a friendly face. Eat a sandwich and drink a beer. Let the music fill your ear. Everything's okie dokie, artichoke. So come in and get yourself a table at the place that is named after a vegetable. Eat a sandwich and drink a beer. Let the music fill your ear. Everything's okie dokie, artichoke. Eat a sandwich and drink a beer. Let the music fill your ear. Everything's okie dokie, artichoke.
That is Everything is Okie Dokie Artichoke, a song that I wrote for my band, Good and Greasy. It's about a little sandwich bar here in Wichita, as the song says, on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch. I really like that place. They play a lot of good acoustic music there. My band has been there multiple times. And in fact, I like it so much, I'm going to play a commercial for that little bar right now. You're listening to the Todd Cook Show. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Do you live in the Wichita area? Are you looking for a great place for lunch or dinner? Do you love live acoustic music but don't know where to go? Try the Artichoke Sandwich Bar. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and it is a fantastic place to eat and listen to live music. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and what goes better with a sandwich than a cold beer? So look up the Artichoke Bar on Facebook today to find out when they are opened and what musical artist is performing next. They just celebrated their 30th year in business, so you know they're doing something right. The Artichoke Sandwich Bar, 811 North Broadway, Wichita, Kansas, where everything is okie dokie artichoke.
All right, I am back. This is episode 1 of season 2 of the Todd Cook Show, the best episode to date. Obviously, because every episode gets better than the last. And as you heard earlier on this show, I've done something that very few people in the world of radio or podcasting has ever done. I interviewed my own mother-in-law. But if that's not shock jock enough for you, I'm about to take it a step further. And I'm going to do something that maybe even fewer people have ever done. And that is, I'm going to interview my wife. But it's not that big of a deal for me because I've actually done it before. And here she comes into the studio right now, my wonderful wife, Samantha. Hello, Samantha. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You're aware that I had your mother and your brother down here, and I told your mother and your brother that they have both known you longer than I have, which is true.
Yep.
And they both told me some stories about you.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Are you ready for that?
Sure.
I'm only kidding. I asked your mother, but she said no. She wouldn't do it. She said,
please. She would rat me out in a heartbeat.
No, she said I would not do that to my daughter. What she said was, if Samantha hasn't told you yet, then she doesn't want you to know. And then I forgot to ask your brother. I was pretty sure he probably would.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He would have, but I forgot to ask him. And then one thing I need to clear up here real quick is I said earlier in the show that I listened to a lot of podcasts and I listened to a lot of talk radio, and I had never heard anybody interview their mother-in-law. But just a few short moments ago, it hit me that the fact of the matter is I have. Don Geronimo did this many times years ago. This might be where I subconsciously got the idea to interview my mother-in-law. But so I'm definitely not the first, but it is very rare because he is, like I said, I listen to probably a dozen or more podcasts consistently. And by the way, before I get to that, I listen to multiple podcasts, and I never hear it very often that somebody interviewing their mother-in-law. But you're starting to listen to some podcasts now, aren't you? I got you bit by the bug, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
How many do you listen to now? You don't have to name any names or whatever, but
I listen to about 5 different ones.
And are you surprised that you're enjoying it as much as you are?
Oh, and including yours, of course.
Well, I hope that's one of the 5. I asked your mom, and she's never listened. Sammy's never listened. But I wasn't even going to ask you. If you came across said you didn't listen, then I might not ever do another show. I'd probably just quit it right there. But I know that you do listen, and I got a good handful of people that listen on a consistent basis. And I remember, I was a little disappointed sometimes when I see the number of people that are listening. There's a couple dozen sometimes that will listen between YouTube. And by the way, if you're listening to this on youtube.com/The Todd Cook Show, you can also go to iTunes and go to the podcast section there and listen to it. Or if you're listening to this from iTunes, you can go to youtube.com/The Todd Cook Show and get me there as well. But I remember getting a little discouraged sometimes where I click on the number of people that are listening. But then I read this website one time where they said, think about it. Maybe a preacher is in front of a church once a week, and he might be thrilled if there's only 30 people listening to what he's saying. If that, there could be 100 people in the pews, but only 4 of them are actually listening. So whenever I get discouraged, I think about that, and it's all right. All right. So like I said, I talked to your mother, and I talked to you, and I guess my first question for you is how's the pregnancy going?
It's going good.
How far along are you now?
16 weeks.
16 weeks. That's like 4 months, ain't it? That's about 4 months long.
Yep.
How much longer do we know if this little baby's a boy or a girl?
March 29th.
March?
I mean May.
May. I have to go back in time or way in the future. That'd be one.
Edit that out. May 29th.
I don't edit anything out. As a matter of fact, we got less than a minute go here, but I'll go over a little bit. It doesn't matter that much.
What is this?
These are just my notes. Make sure I got everything down there. I'm not giving it to you.
Well, what are you doing with it?
You may hit my microphone stand. Now it's going to come across there.
Oh,
I was just getting it out of my way. And
you're like handing it to me like, here, read this.
No. Well, I did that to Sammy, but I'm not going to do that to you. And now you just moved that. I need to be able to see that. Thank you.
I'm not touching anything anymore.
Thank you.
I'll just sit in my chair.
I talked to your mom about the fact that it was Mother's Day and stuff and what she wanted to do. She said she got a fishing pole, and she thought that we might still be able to go out fishing tonight. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. For Mother's Day, what I was thinking about doing for you was to leave the house and just leave you alone with the kids so that you could bask in your motherhood. And at the last minute, I kind of changed my mind. Do you think that would have been a good idea?
Possibly. Could have been, but there's still a house full of people, so.
Well, but you know what I mean. It's kind of a weird thing. As joyous as being a mother is, on Mother's Day, the last thing you probably want to do is be left alone to deal with the kids.
Yeah.
For the entire day. So I'm glad I decided not to do that. All right, I think that's it. You got anything else you want to say?
No.
You're going to make sure you listen to this episode?
Yes.
And
I
you got-
have to be honest, though. The last episode, I only got to listen to part of it, and then I forgot to tell you that it wouldn't work, and I wanted you to download it for me. And
Oh, you can't get it to stream?
So, yes. So
Yeah, I need to tell more people,
it
too.
shut it down and wouldn't come back up. And
I'm a little behind on a few episodes on getting it up to Netflix. It's weird. I say Netflix all the time in my head, but it always comes out iTunes. I don't mean Netflix, but I think it, but somehow it still comes out iTunes. But I'm a little behind on getting things up on iTunes, and the reason for that is the website that I use to upload the podcast to iTunes. I've used more than my limit already, and I think if I just keep uploading it, it will just delete the most earliest shows, which is fine to me. But I got to get caught up on that, and I got to give people a way where they can download the whole show and be able to listen to it. Because sometimes if you're at work or you're somewhere where it doesn't have a good streaming internet, signal, it might be difficult. So anyway, I'm going to try to do that sometime soon so people can listen to it or be sure. Because it's hard to believe, but not everybody has iTunes yet. So there are other ways that you can download the whole show. And the next episode, I will make sure that people know how to do that so they don't have to listen to it streaming. They can actually download it to their hard drive or their phone or their iPad or their computer or iPod, whatever it is that they use to listen to the show. They'll be able to download the entire show onto the hard drive of that machine, whatever it is that they use, and be able to listen to it a lot easier. But that's it. So I just pushed the envelope. I just did a little shock jockery. I was very edgy on this show. I interviewed my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my wife on the same show. I would be willing to bet that it'd be very rare for anybody out there to find somebody who has done those three things: interview their mother-in-law, their brother-in-law, and their wife.
he had a lot of bribes going on upstairs.
On the same show. But that's it for this episode of the Todd Cook Show. I'll be back next week and have another episode. Episode 2 of season 2 of the Todd Cook Show will be next week. So tune back in then. I am Todd Cook. I'll talk and you listen.